Hey guys, today we're going to be drawing some soft boiled eggs. I'm using the iPad Pro with the Apple Pencil and the Procreate app. If you're new to Procreate, I also have a video called 25 Procreate Tips and Tricks, which I suggest to watch first because as I draw, I'll be using these shortcut actions. I will link that video below. So grab your favorite tea or coffee and let's start drawing. So I grabbed this image off the internet and I've just quickly sketched just the outline of these two eggs. So this exercise is just to duplicate what you see over here, and I'll just be showing you some techniques in Procreate. So first thing, we want to create a new layer. So my layer 2 is actually a sketch, and I'm just going to move that above the new layer I just created. Then we're just going to go on layer 3, and we're going to start off with the yolk. So let's just put our finger on any of this orange area here, and then we're going to set our brush to an airbrush. I'm just gonna make that brush a bit bigger, and then we're just gonna draw just the yolk. And the same thing over here, we're gonna grab this orange. Then you can also color drop that in, and then just fill the lines. All right, next we're gonna create another layer, and then we're gonna put this layer 4 underneath layer 3, and that will be the white of the egg. So if you look really closely, it's not really white, it's just shades of gray and green and light oranges and yellows, and then up here is a white. So we're in layer 4. We're gonna grab that soft airbrush again, and I'm just gonna grab a color over here. And then as I go around the egg yolk, I'm just gonna keep grabbing different colors. And as you can see, it's really not a true white. It's a really light gray. And then I'm gonna do the same thing over here. And then I'm just gonna actually clean this up first. I'm gonna grab my eraser, make sure that this is just on a hard brush. And then we're gonna erase just this area. And we could have started a new layer for the different eggs. So one egg is on one layer and the other is on another. But since we've already started this, I'm not gonna go back. So I'm gonna grab this shadow, and I'm just gonna switch my brush now to that hard brush so I can get a really straight line. And then we can go back to the airbrush. All right, next we're gonna grab the blending brush, and the blending brush is right beside the regular brush. And this is just gonna blend all the colors together. And then with the blending brush, you also wanna make sure that it has the airbrush selected. And then we're gonna lightly blend these colors together. I'm not putting a lot of pressure either on this brush. I'm just gonna toggle back and forth and just keep adding color and blending it. All right, now that we have that done, we're gonna use the eraser Again, make sure it's on a hard brush. And then we're going to erase the edges so that they're sharp. All right, next we're gonna go into the yolk and we're gonna do the same thing. We're just gonna clean up the edges. Whoa, did you hear that thunder? And I realized that the yolk kind of runs over, so let's grab the airbrush again. Grab this orange. And we're just gonna go over. Okay, so that's what we're left with. Let's go into our layers and disable the sketch. And then next, we're going to merge these two layers together. So let's merge the yolk and the egg white. So we have one layer. And now we could play with the highlights. So we're gonna grab a white, put our finger on this, and it's gonna pop up right there. And then we're gonna grab our hard brush again, not the airbrush. I'm just gonna kind of copy what we see. Okay, so now with all of those hard white highlights done, I'm gonna go and find a brush that can kind of mimic something like this. So rather than us going and drawing all of these little white highlights, it's easy for us to find a brush that can do that. So I think it's under Industrial. And let's try this Wasteland. Let's see how that looks. I don't know if you can see that. There's a little bit of texture. And we don't want to overdo it. And there's a little bit over here. And then we're just gonna softly blend that out after. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the egg yolk and you can kind of see that there's different levels of orange. And over here, there's a little bit of like a swirl going on. So I'm gonna grab this lighter orange here, go back to my airbrush. In fact, I can just grab this orange, get a lighter shade. And then I'm just gonna blend that. And then here is where we can go into more detail just to give it that realistic look. So we're just gonna keep adding highlights and shadows where we see it. So it's a mixture of just adding the different shades and then blending it, and then just adding some more highlights with whites or lighter shades. All right, so what I should have done is actually turned alpha lock on this. So let's click this and hit alpha lock. And what that does is it locks the layer and it prevents you from drawing anything outside of what we've drawn here. So let's say I have this orange. I can't draw outside of the egg. So that's what we're gonna do so that we're not gonna accidentally go over the edge. All right, so I'm gonna disable the reference layer. We're just gonna move this into the center. All right, so I'm gonna add a little drop shadow. So let's delete the sketch and delete the reference. Then we're gonna duplicate the eggs. So now we're at 2 eggs, and then the one underneath, we're going to go up here to adjustments, hue, saturation, brightness. We're going to bring the saturation all the way down and the brightness all the way down. And I see some errors already. Let me just fix that. We're gonna erase this. And then just erase up here. And just these transparent areas, I just didn't put enough, I guess, ink or color, so that's why you can see through it, but that's okay for now. So we're gonna go back to this dark layer, then we're gonna click on the N, bring that all the way down. Let's do maybe 14%. And then we're gonna go back into adjustments and then hit Gaussian blur. I'm just gonna move our finger. You can see up here that the percentages are going up, and that's blurring that layer. Okay, so I'm just gonna move that shadow just a bit closer, and I'm actually gonna make it less opaque, so I'm down to 6%. Then I'm just gonna crop my canvas. It's a bit too big, so I'm gonna go to Canvas, Crop. And then maybe we can even add a background. You can pick whatever background you want. Something breakfasty, I don't know, maybe like a warmer tone. If you want to fix this area, you can certainly do so. Just go back into the egg layer, and then we're just gonna blend this more. So there you go, guys. There is your soft-boiled egg. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. For more drawing tutorials and gadget reviews, be sure to subscribe to Draw with Marina.